Only the whispering winds and ancient trees of Shenandoah National Park in Virginia know what happened to Samantha Greenlee. The only clue was a note attached to the handlebars of her bicycle near a popular trailhead that read, "The mountains are calling, and I must go." This ambiguous note perplexed all who read it. Was it a sign of her seeking solace in nature or a forewarning of some sinister events to come? The immediate thought, given the nature of the note, was that Samantha had embarked on a self-reflective journey, detaching herself from the world. But as the hours turned into days, concern grew. Samantha, being a librarian by profession in Richmond, was known for her punctuality and strong sense of responsibility. Strangely, the week preceding her disappearance, colleagues noticed a subtle change in her demeanor. Sam, usually cheerful, seemed lost in thought, often into the distance as if searching for something. Conversations with her parents revealed that she had recently become fascinated with ancestral stories, particularly one concerning a great-aunt who had lived and died in the Shenandoah region. The story hinted at a secret spot in the park that her great-aunt loved.
Welcome back, thrill seekers. This week we are spotlighting the top park ranger stories from the year 1984. If you like what you hear today, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. We will be releasing another story on Friday. Now, back to the show.
As the search intensified, local authorities, park rangers and volunteers joined forces, scouring every inch of the park. Helicopters, drones and search dogs became frequent sights. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and purple, search teams returned, weary and empty-handed. The location of her bicycle near the trailhead of the Old Rag Mountain, one of the park's most popular hikes, became the central point of investigation. However, no one reported seeing her on the trail, adding another layer to the unknown. The cryptic note she left only deepened the mystery. Some believed it was a clue she left behind for someone specific to decipher. While inspecting her belongings, authorities found a diary. It contained poetic descriptions of nature and numerous sketches of mountainous terrains, but one page stood out, a sketched map with a circled area titled Aunt Elsie's Spot. Debates on the legitimacy of the note and the meaning behind the diary's contents filled the local media. Some hypothesized that Sam was on a quest to find this secret location, connecting with her ancestral past. Others proposed the idea that perhaps someone else was involved, someone who knew about her quest and might have manipulated her intentions for their gain. National news agencies soon picked up the story. An old college friend of Samantha's came forward during a broadcast on NBC, claiming that Samantha had always been intrigued by mysteries and riddles. He shared anecdotes of their college days when they, fueled by youthful curiosity, would embark on mini-adventures seeking out urban legends. This insight shifted the narrative slightly, suggesting that perhaps Samantha's disappearance was a self-imposed challenge, a final adventure to prove something to herself. However, the Shenandoah National Park, spanning over 200,000 acres, is not an easy terrain. Park rangers emphasized the unpredictability of the wilderness and the many challenges it posed, even for experienced hikers. The equipment found with her bicycle, although top-notch, seemed scarcely used, raising doubts about her preparedness for an extended journey into the wild. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Samantha's story became a legend of its own, an unsolved puzzle that both haunted and fascinated. Conversations around campfires, debates in local diners, and discussions in town meetings all revolved around the same question: what happened to Samantha Greenlee? And while the mountains stood silent, the quest for answers raged on. Anthony sat in his cozy cabin, the flickering light of the television casting shadows on the worn wooden walls. At 76, he had long retired from the life of an adventurer and investigator, but something about the story of Samantha Greenlee had piqued his interest. His friend Jake, a retired park ranger, sat across from him in an equally weathered armchair, nursing a steaming cup of tea. "Jake, you see this?" Anthony pointed at the television screen where Samantha's story played out. It reminds me of those old days when we used to chase mysteries together. Jake nodded, his weathered face reflecting a mix of nostalgia and curiosity. Yeah, Anthony, it sure does. We've seen our fair share of strange disappearances, but this one, it's got a different vibe to it. The news anchor's voice filled the room, recounting Samantha's cryptic note and the elusive quest for Aunt Elsie's spot. Anthony couldn't help but wonder if this was more than just a young woman's quest for self-discovery. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Anthony asked, his eyes narrowing as he turned to Jake. Jake raised an eyebrow. "You mean going back to work one last time? We are old, Anthony, not as spry as we used to be." Anthony chuckled, a twinkle of determination in his eyes. "We may not have the youth, but we've got the experience, my friend, and sometimes experience can solve what youth cannot." They made some calls, and soon enough the authorities reached out to them. The public pressure had become unbearable, and they needed the best to solve this mystery. Anthony and Jake, in their faded jackets and worn hiking boots, stood before the park superintendent, ready for their last adventure. "You two sure about this?" the superintendent asked, skepticism etched on his face. Anthony nodded firmly. "We've seen things that'd make your hair stand on end. We'll find Samantha Greenlee one way or another." Their first step was to visit the spot where Samantha's bicycle had been found. The sun was setting as they reached the trailhead of Old Rag Mountain. Anthony inspected the bike, and his experienced eyes spotted something others had missed, a faint set of footprints leading off the trail into the woods. Jake bent down, examining the footprints closely. "These aren't Samantha's. She had hiking boots, not these sneakers. Someone else was here." As they ventured deeper into the forest, they found themselves navigating through dense underbrush and steep terrain. It was clear that Samantha hadn't been prepared for this kind of journey. They wondered who had lured her into the wilderness. Days turned into weeks, and the search seemed endless. But Anthony and Jake pressed on, determined to unravel the mystery. Then one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they stumbled upon a hidden campsite deep within the woods. It was rudimentary, just a small fire pit and a tarp stretched between the trees. Anthony's eyes fell on something pinned to a nearby tree, a page from Samantha's diary. The words were hastily scribbled, but they shocked them. "They are watching. Aunt Elsie's secret is real. Find the cave." Jake scanned the area, and his trained eye spotted a narrow opening in the rocky hillside nearby. It was hidden beneath a thick veil of ivy, almost camouflaged. Anthony turned to Jake, a sense of urgency in his voice. "Jake, we need to check that cave." As they ventured into the darkness of the cave, they could hear the faint sound of water dripping. Their flashlights illuminated ancient rock formations and narrow passageways. They pressed on, driven by a need to uncover the truth. Suddenly, they found themselves in a chamber, and their flashlights revealed something astonishing, a wall covered in faded cave paintings. They depicted scenes of a woman in a bonnet and dress, surrounded by towering mountains. It was Aunt Elsie's spot. Anthony whispered, "Jake, I think we've found it." But their excitement was short-lived. As they examined the cave paintings further, they heard a faint noise behind them, a rustling, as if someone or something was approaching. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, Anthony and Jake turned their flashlights toward the source of the sound. What they saw left them speechless, a figure shrouded in darkness standing at the cave entrance. The figure spoke, its voice trembling with a mix of fear and desperation. "Help me. I'm Samantha Greenlee, and I've been hiding here for months. They're still out there, watching." The mystery had deepened, and their quest for answers was far from over. Anthony and Jake had found Samantha, but they were about to uncover a secret that would shake the very foundations of Shenandoah National Park. As the whispering winds and ancient trees of the park bore witness, the mountains had indeed called, but they had also concealed secrets that no one could have imagined. Samantha's revelation shocked both of them. They rushed to her side, helping her out of the cave and into the dimly lit forest. Samantha looked gaunt, her once vibrant eyes now haunted by fear and exhaustion. As they moved away from the cave entrance, Samantha began to explain her harrowing ordeal. "I found the spot, just like Aunt Elsie's diary described," Samantha said, her voice trembling. "But when I got there, I stumbled upon something I wasn't supposed to see." There were men, wearing dark suits and sunglasses, huddled around a hidden entrance to an underground chamber. They were speaking in hushed tones, and I heard them mention valuable artifacts. Samantha continued, recounting how she had been spotted by one of the men, the same one who had left his sneaker prints near her bicycle. Terrified, she had fled into the woods, leaving behind her bike and a cryptic note in the hopes that someone would come looking for her. "We need to find out who these men are and what they were doing," Jake said, his ranger instincts kicking in. "But first, Samantha, we should get you to safety." They guided Samantha back to their campsite, where she could rest and regain her strength. The retired adventurers knew that they couldn't confront these mysterious men head-on. Instead, they would need to gather information discreetly. Over the next few days, Anthony and Jake pieced together the puzzle. They discovered that the men Samantha had encountered were part of a shadowy organization searching for a legendary artifact rumored to be hidden in Shenandoah National Park. This artifact, known as the Heart of the Mountains, was said to possess immense power, and the organization believed it could change the course of history. Samantha had unwittingly stumbled upon the artifact and their operation while seeking Aunt Elsie's spot. The organization's interest in the cave paintings and the hidden chamber had made it clear that the artifact was linked to the region's history, perhaps even to Samantha's great-aunt. With Samantha's guidance, Anthony and Jake set out to uncover the secrets of Aunt Elsie's spot and the Heart of the Mountains. They meticulously documented the cave paintings and deciphered cryptic symbols. It became apparent that the artifact had been hidden by Aunt Elsie to protect it from falling into the wrong hands. As they delved deeper into the mystery, they also learned that the organization had been monitoring Samantha's every move. Their electronic surveillance devices were hidden throughout the park, and they had been closing in on her, determined to recover the artifact at any cost. Anthony and Jake knew they had to act swiftly. They made contact with a trusted friend within the Park Service, who helped them devise a plan to outwit the organization. They would lead the men on a wild goose chase, while Samantha, under a new identity, would safely transport the Heart of the Mountains out of the park. In a daring maneuver that spanned several days, Anthony and Jake led the organization's operatives on a series of treacherous hikes, exploiting their unfamiliarity with the park's terrain. It was a game of cat and mouse, with the retired adventurers using all their knowledge and experience to stay one step ahead. The organization's men, frustrated by their inability to capture Samantha and the artifact, eventually gave up their pursuit. Anthony, Jake and Samantha met at a pre-arranged location outside the park, reuniting with the precious artifact. As they held the Heart of the Mountains in their hands, they knew that they had safeguarded a piece of history and protected the park's secrets. Shenandoah National Park would remain a place of beauty and serenity, where only the whispering winds and ancient trees held the knowledge of the mysteries that lay hidden beneath its surface. With the Heart of the Mountains safely in their possession, Samantha, Anthony and Jake made their way back to civilization. Samantha reunited with her worried family, who had feared they would never see her again. Tears of relief and joy flowed as they embraced her. The artifact, now protected by the weight of history and a new layer of secrecy, found its home in a well-guarded exhibit within the National Museum. Its true significance remained a closely guarded secret, known only to a select few who understood the importance of preserving the past. As for Anthony and Jake, they were hailed as heroes in the local community. The park authorities, grateful for their dedication and expertise, bestowed upon them a well-deserved award and public recognition for their role in solving the mystery of Samantha Greenlee's disappearance. It was the perfect culmination of their careers, a final adventure that had brought them out of retirement for a purpose greater than themselves. The news of their achievement spread far and wide, becoming an inspiring story of bravery and tenacity. The mountains, the ancient trees, and the whispering winds of Shenandoah National Park had played their part in an extraordinary tale of intrigue and courage. And as the sun set over the park, casting a warm glow on the landscape, the mountains seemed to echo their own appreciation for the remarkable individuals who had answered the call, ensuring that the secrets of the Shenandoah would remain safe and sound for generations to come.
That's all for now. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Please also like and subscribe. And don't forget, #1 on our countdown of park ranger horror from the year 1984 will be released on Friday.